what would you say is the most or the best thing about growing up in North Lake Tahoe?
I think the best thing would probably be just my relationships with the people that I grew up with. And then also, like even their parents. Like it's funny because I can still run into people I went to high school, elementary school, whatever, and I can see their parents at Rayleigh's or whatever, and just being like, oh, how's it been? How are you doing? And just knowing that those relationships carry on so much throughout years without kind of going away. It's like you pick up where you left off sort of thing. And those come from all these different aspects of growing up here, like playing sports or going to school or being in the same Girl Scout troops, things like that. That I think, again, in smaller communities are smaller groups of those things. So you really get to know the people in your community. It kind of reminds me sometimes of like those Hallmark movies where you like those little tiny small towns where everybody knows everybody. And like, there's the realtor and there's the banker and, there's the guy who owns the restaurant. It's kind of like that here. It's everyone knows everybody in the way that we all have so much history together. So I think that's what's really special about growing up here.
Welcome back to the Tahoe Real Estate Insider Podcast. Today we're sitting down with Jayce Coziar, Sierra Sotheby's International Realty. This year, 2025, top 1.5% according to Real Trends. Also top 15 Sierra Sotheby's agent. Born and raised in Incline Village, Nevada on the North Shore Lake Tahoe. Animal advocate, Incline alumni, Incline High School, elementary school, middle school, even pre-K too, right?
Yeah.
Does business in both California and Nevada and covers everything from the La Sierra up north of Truckee down to Truckee, Incline, all of North Lake Tahoe, and even Reno too. So Jayce, thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
So yeah, what I want to talk about today is what it was like growing up in Lake Tahoe as a kid. You were born and raised in Incline. You said you still have quite a few friends in the area too. Is that right?
I do. Yeah. So, being born here is kind of an anomaly. There was only a handful of babies born here back in the mid 80s. And I think it was like 13 at the Incline Hospital right up the street. And I was one of them. So
no way.
Yeah, pretty cool.
13 just for that year?
It was like end of 84, early 85. Yeah. So wow. I was actually New Year's Eve baby.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And so that was kind of cool to just grow up here and also know. And I was like one of the only ones that was also born here. I think all my siblings were born in Reno. So just to give you some perspective on that hospital, which was cool. And then, I attended preschool at the old Presbyterian church up here in town. That's where the Incline Nursery School used to be back in the 80s. And then progressed to Incline Elementary, the old one over there. That's no longer, not the new one up here.
Okay.
The old abandoned one across from it was Grog and Grist. I'm thinking of all the stuff for my kids.
Right?
Yeah.
Across that catty corner.
It's all gated off now.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's where I went to elementary school, and then middle school down the street right here. And high school, I graduated in 2003. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you're the perfect person to talk to about, if somebody's looking to move up to Tahoe and raise kids, what it's like, giving an inside scoop to what it's like. And you're right. It is rare that you're able to talk to somebody who is actually born and raised here their entire lives.
Yeah. It's kind of a different, what determines a local, right?
Yeah.
There's all these different terms for local and how long you've been here. And obviously there's different chapters of Incline and all the things. But I think growing up here and not really leaving until I left for college was very unique in the sense that I grew up in this amazing little community and really thought, I remember thinking all theaters were only one theater because that's what Incline Village had, right?
Right.
Little stuff like that, or just knowing that my graduating class was 84 kids and finding out later that high schools had way more kids than we had. I think we had almost 400 total when I was in high school. So those little things and really knowing everybody, most of my graduating class were kids that I went to preschool with. So knowing everybody from such a young age until we left for high school was really cool. And our reunions are really special because we get to see each other as grown adults now. And we're all kind of like this little family, which is, I think, a unique thing. It's not something a lot of people get. And growing up here, it provided that for me. So,
yeah, the small town community and how tight knit a small town
absolutely
can be it's got its pros and cons, as
yes,
a lot of people
for
would
sure.
probably say.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most or the best thing about growing up in North Lake Tahoe?
I think the best thing would probably be just my relationships with the people that I grew up with. And then also, like even their parents. Like it's funny because I can still run into people I went to high school, elementary school, whatever, and I can see their parents at Rayleigh's or whatever, and just being like, oh, how's it been? How are you doing? And just knowing that those relationships carry on so much throughout years without kind of going away. It's like you pick up where you left off sort of thing. And those come from all these different aspects of growing up here, like playing sports or going to school or being in the same Girl Scout troops, things like that. That I think, again, in smaller communities are smaller groups of those things. So you really get to know the people in your community. It kind of reminds me sometimes of like those Hallmark movies where you like those little tiny small towns where everybody knows everybody. And like, there's the realtor and there's the banker and, there's the guy who owns the restaurant. It's kind of like that here. It's everyone knows everybody in the way that we all have so much history together. So I think that's what's really special about growing up here.
How do you feel like that serves you now as an adult? And I also want to touch on, how did that serve you as a kid growing up?
Yeah. So I think, as an adult now, part of the way I lead my business is in a very human aspect. There's so many agents in this industry, I think, that are very transactional, and it's about the paycheck and the money and the production numbers and all that thing. I think what it did is it gave me a different perspective of leading my life with intention through relationships and being able to, when I take on new clients, like listening to them, right? And hearing their stories and being a part of that journey. I think this small town was special in that those relationships I created throughout the years kind of helped me as an adult do the same thing, where I lead with that. That's special to me. And I think, again, not all agents kind of conduct business like that. As a kid, I think it almost felt like I had like more than two parents. You know what I mean? Like this whole community was like, it takes a village, right? So many people in this community, we all took care of each other, and parents knew each other, and friends and kids and older brothers and sisters and little brothers and little sisters. And I remember even when I was creating, I had my 20-year reunion 2 years ago, and the third day of our reunion, I was like, what can I make different that would like kind of help make this a little bit of a different experience? And I decided to invite all of our classes that we went to school with in high school on both sides, because out of 84 kids, we're lucky if 20 people show up.
Yeah.
So if we can get the class below us or the class above us or 2 or 3 to come and say hi, running into those kind of people too, it's the same thing. It's that just community vibe where everyone knew each other and loved each other. So yeah.
I also grew up in a small town in Texas, graduated with 65 kids, but I always tell people, reiterating on what you were just talking about, the level of care from the community for each kid is tremendous. But also too, when you grow up in a small town and everyone knows everyone, there's a level of, maybe expectation is not the right word, but a level of excellence that's expected, because you can't wrong somebody and then go hide in some corner of the city. Or
there's a lot of accountability.
There's accountability. That's a great word. Yeah. A ton of accountability, which I think leads to better humans
100%
overall.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, like, I came from a humble background in the sense that like my parents didn't have a lot of money. I know that sounds weird saying you was born and raised in Incline Village and you didn't have a lot of money, but back then
Incline was different.
It was very different back in the 80s and 90s, but we didn't have a lot of money. We were kind of known as one of the lesser money kids. My parents got divorced at a young age. We lived in apartments and went back and forth and through the weekend, and they were tiny. My little brother and little sister and I shared a room at one point with my dad's house. So, it's funny because there was a point too where when I got into sports and I was doing well in sports in middle school, beginning of high school, and my parents weren't there, but all my friends' parents were there and supporting me. So going back to that accountability, it was like, I knew my parents were going to be there to watch me, but I knew like my best friend's mom was going to be there and like cheering me on. Right. So it's that same kind of thing where having that accountability where I know someone's watching me, might not always be my parents, and that's the thing about these communities is like people kind of pick up where the slack is, right? So if they see another kid like not getting that attention or needing to be picked up from school or whatever it was, that was always there for me. So that's really cool to have and to look back on and know that even my friends' parents were always really parenting me too. So yeah, which is unique. That's not always the case.
Yeah. The level of support throughout a small community is unmatched. How do you feel like that differs from, we get quite a few people from the Bay Area looking to buy. Some of those end up becoming full-time residents in Tahoe.
Yeah.
When you're someone who's thinking of moving a family up here, whether it's young kids or a little bit older kids, and you're a parent, what do you see the benefits being of moving from a large city to where not many people know each other? And of course, there's always going to be small communities within larger communities, but how do you see that benefiting a kid such as yourself when they make a move to Tahoe?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think too, one of the huge things that differs a little bit from when I grew up here to now is like there's Lake Tahoe School, right? There's other options besides just the public school system. So whether you end up in the public school system or at Lake Tahoe School, which is also an incredible...
Or Tahoe Expedition Academy in Truckee.
The other one. Yeah, there's all these options now.
There's a Montessori school in Incline now.
Yeah, like that's wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see the growth that's happened. Even sports and stuff I'm watching. Like I know that Lake Tahoe School and Incline kind of integrate with sports, which is so cool to me. But to answer your question, I think someone coming from a bigger metro area into something like this, I think it's just a special, different way to grow up. You're not only living at Lake Tahoe too. That's another thing I think about all the time. Like how spoiled I was growing up here and thinking like, this is life. Like, this is what everything looks like. I remember when I went to college, my first year in Vegas, and my friends were like, let's go to Lake Mead. And I was like, ew, what is this lake? Like, this is not
Did
Lake
you
Tahoe.
go to UNLV?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think when you come from a bigger metro area to something like this, a lot of people do that too, to shift their lifestyles, right? So we saw a lot of that in the pandemic where people were wanting to work remote or just slow their pace down or whatever that looks like. And parents and children alike, I think, can fit into communities like this and just get a little bit more of a curated experience with school, with sports, dining, everything. Again, dining's come a long way too since I grew up here, but
it's funny to say because even now it seems the options
limited.
can be limited.
I know it was way worse when I was little, but yeah, bonding and making friends and I kind of touched on this in our email exchange, but the combination of luxury living here and down to earth community, it's kind of hard to explain in words, but yeah, we have, people from the outside sometimes will see like, oh, second homes and all these ultra wealthy people living in Incline Village, and Income Village was the name for it when we were in school. But I grew up here and I know that the core of this community is down to earth and they care and they're loving, and it's not about money. It's about community. So I think that's a good reminder to tell people considering moving here or that are moving here, even if it's second home stuff. It's not what you're reading in the headlines. It's so much more of a small community wanting to better itself and the people in it, I think, than what we see in the headlines sometimes.
Certainly. I I often talk about with people that aren't familiar with Tahoe about that exact thing about, and it's no secret that it takes a certain level of income production to live in Tahoe. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy by any means, but all the way from the ultra wealthy down to, the other end of the spectrum, everyone is so, for the most part, everyone is so down to earth, so willing to help. It doesn't matter how much money they have. They're in Tahoe for all the same reasons everybody else is. And I think the bad rap that people often get due to their wealth is a mislabeling and is really it's not beneficial to anybody.
No.
And knowing, and this is all around Tahoe, right? Everyone, and that's another thing too, is we're all here because we enjoy the same things. We enjoy whether it's skiing, snowboarding, hiking, being on the lake, fresh air, fresh water.
It's the lifestyle.
It's the lifestyle. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
100%.
And you can see that when you're out in the community. I would say I go to the coffee shop probably once or twice a day, every day. And yeah, you'll meet some of the greatest people in there, some of the most astute business people, but you would never know because they're not in there. They're not in there to make it known how much money they have. They're in there to have community just like everybody else.
Yeah. Well, I think you can't label humans based on an income level, right? Like the world wants to do that, especially nowadays, right? They're the evil, right? 1%ers and all this stuff.
The evil puppeteers.
Yeah. Right. And there's truth to everything, but there's also layers of you got to understand that humans are still humans. Before I got into real estate, I worked at Martis Camp over in Truckee for almost 10 years. And that's ultra wealthy people, right? That's people who live there, have a lot of money. And same thing, they just get a bad rap because they own a Martis Camp. And I worked front of the main lodge. I was director of communications and director of concierge. So I got to see members on a daily basis every single day, got to know these people. And they are wonderful people. I mean, yeah, there's a few bad apples here and there, but where isn't there, right? And it's the same thing with Incline. I think, you can't just judge it for what it is. You have to get to know the people. And some of my favorite people in the world live here and have a lot of money, and some don't, right? And I don't think that should dictate how we perceive people necessarily. But you're right. It is hard to get into this market here now. I keep an eye on my childhood house. One of my dreams is to buy that house back one day.
That would be cool.
It's up on Chico Court, Lower Tyner area. And I keep an eye on that price point and it just keeps going up. But one day, I think my parents bought it in 1985 for $189,000. Wow. Which is wild.
What's it worth now?
I think it's about 1.4.
Hey, keep up the 1.5%.
I know, that's the goal.
Trends in the top 15 Sotheby's.
I know, that's the goal. It would be cool to get back into owning something up here. My parents, when they got divorced, let go of the ownership, so they rented through middle school and high school. So we didn't have any real ties here as far as real estate went. And the shoulda, woulda, coulda before the pandemic prices, feel like, gosh, I should have. But you just don't know. And my plan is to just work hard and get there one day and be able to enjoy this community again, because it's such a huge part of me. It's what makes me happy. The lake, it doesn't matter what time of year it is, what's going on in my life, anything. If I come through here and I just go down to the lake, it just fills my bucket up every single time. It doesn't matter. It's crazy how it does that. It's my whole childhood. It's everything. So
I get chills even hearing you talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the outdoor lifestyle and the year-round sports here. You grew up with all of that. Mm-hmm. For people looking to move a family up here, it's obviously, people buy in Tahoe due to the lifestyle. What was your experience like growing up having the outdoor lifestyle? Because it is a truly unique experience. I grew up in Texas. It was sports all the time. during the middle of the summer, you're basically not outside unless you have to be, right? In Tahoe, it's much different. It's year round. It's skiing, snowboarding in the winter, maybe snowshoeing, what have you, right? And in the summers, there's all sorts of things to do. How did that shape you?
So, you'll probably understand this, but growing up in the 80s, 90s, we were outside kids, right? We didn't have tablets, and we had a little bit of TV and video games, old school Nintendo and stuff like that.
Some Atari.
Yeah, for the most part, we were outside until it got dark, and we made our own adventures. And I am, as far as shaping me, I have to be living somewhere where all 4 seasons are there because of growing up in Tahoe. That is so important to me. And that's one of the things I love so much about this entire region is that you get that spring, you get summer, you get fall, and you get winter. Are they a little different from back in the day? Yeah. We're not getting, I remember when I was little, we used to get some snowstorms that would just rock the whole community for months. But, being able to grow up outside, ride our bikes, fall off our bikes, just play with sticks and trees and things in the backyard. Like it was such a different way to grow up. And then having sports also as we got older. Fun fact, I don't ski or snowboard anymore growing up here, which is, some people are like, what? That's crazy. I did when I was younger. I was a skier when snowboarding got popular when I was in middle school. I tried it and did it kind of often with my friends, but I was just always so bad at it. And then fast forward to kind of college years, I tried skiing again, and I'm like, oh, I'm a skier. Like, I was never a snowboarder. I'm a skier. So I like to go once in a while, but I don't do it often. But having those opportunities of, taking my mom, I remember the 4 of us, 4 siblings, taking an hour to get us all in our snowsuits to go outside and play in the snow. And we'd be out there for 15 minutes and cold and wet and crying. And she'd make us hot chocolate and making snow caves and all that stuff. It was just such a cool winter to have with not only skiing, but also just playing outside. And then even just holidays, I remember the snow falling during the holidays was so much more back then. And then when I grew up a little bit more into middle school, I got into soccer and volleyball, basketball. And then into high school, I ended up playing varsity softball. I was an all-state catcher, playing we just talked about before we started, adult softball leagues and how much fun we have playing adult softball now that we're older and a little slower and all the things, but it's just fun community stuff and great ways to make friends and bond. And it's really great to be somewhere where you can have something to do all times of the year,
Certainly. And as I was born in 95. I grew up in the early 2000s. That was right on the precipice of handheld devices for kids. Well, they weren't for kids at the time. They ended up in kids' hands. But how would you say, so if you're able to put yourself in the shoes of, let's say, a parent who's got a kid who won't get off their phone or their video game console, how could Tahoe transform a kid's life?
Put them outside. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question because it's not, that's the other thing about Incline and Tahoe in general is that it's really safe. You can send your kids outside to play and not worry about it as you would in a city. Having kids be forced to kind of make their own fun and create their own experiences through nature or just go outside. Like literally, we would make fake villages out of sticks and rocks. And I mean, I get that it's different and we're in different times. And I will also say, I don't have children of my own. So it's the parents probably like, yeah, try and take that tablet away. But yeah, I think I do have a couple friends too, that like, they really limit screen time and they force that outside time, that live up here, and their kids are ripping little skiers or snowboarders. Or we were just talking about our friend at Lake Tahoe School. His son is a track runner now that he's just killing it, like crushing all these records, stuff like that. That's just forcing your kids to do activities other than the screen stuff. In Tahoe, there's a plethora of choices to do it, whether it's indoor, outdoor, or just going out and doing stuff on your own.
Would you say an outdoor lifestyle bodes better in a place like Tahoe because there's more kids that are geared to go outside? So if you are a kid, you're going to have the friends that are like, hey, let's go to the beach, or hey, let's go ski, or hey, it's not, you don't feel like you're on an island.
Yeah. Well, and they all have phones now and all the things, but go make a YouTube video at the beach.
Right.
At least you're outside,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, it's kind of different here because, I remember growing up here and thinking, especially in high school, like, oh, there's nothing to do here. Like, what are we going to do? Like, go to the movies or like, go get into trouble, whatever. I remember in middle school walking down to the beach and back with my girlfriends because we were just bored. But like, those memories will forever be like stuck with me of just like exploring this town and knowing all the streets in this town, knowing where all my friends lived, knowing we could go kick a ball around at the high school or play softball at the middle school or whatever it was.
What's it like looking back on those memories now? At the time, as a kid, you don't realize the times you're in.
Oh, I miss it
like
so
now?
much. I get really nostalgic sometimes, especially when I come up here, because those were some of, if not the best times of my life, like hands down. The friendships I had, even through all my volatile, like family life stuff, I had such a great upbringing here in this community. There's different chapters, obviously, from preschool, kindergarten age, middle school age, and high school age, because you're going through different parts of your life. But I still am best friends with some of the people I went to preschool with, and knowing that we had all those memories and experiences is something I will never, ever take for granted. It's just, I feel so lucky because that's not everybody's experience growing up, right? Childhood in general, growing up in general can be very hard for a lot of external reasons. But I think what kept me safe and what kept me grounded through all that was this town. Honestly, like, it was always a safe place for me. I always remember growing up too, thinking like, when I get older and I have a family of my own, like, I want to live in Incline Village. I want my kids to go to school here. I want that same experience that I had for my children because it was so beautiful. And that's a product of not only my own life, but all the community, right?
So you were talking about outdoor lifestyle, year-round sports that kids are able to play, that you were able to do growing up, all the different seasons, right? What's it like growing up in a place where there is all 4 seasons and they are, they're not just a month or 2 long. Sometimes winter can be 5 months. It can be 8 months. Sometimes summer can be the same. Spring and fall are a little bit shorter, but what was it like getting all 4 seasons?
I think for me, I think it's really good for your mental state, to be honest. I think that just doesn't apply to me. I think humans in general, I think that reset every season is good for you, right? A lot of people out here, I think, get the SAD, the seasonal affective disorder, because especially when there's no snow and it's just cold and you're waiting for spring and sunshine, people get a little angst and they want to get out and do stuff. But for me, summer's actually my least favorite.
Oh, really?
Season. Yeah. I love fall. I love it when it turns from summer to fall because for me, that's when the holidays are here and it cools down. I hate heat. I hate being hot. So summer's fun, but it's just not my favorite. And then once fall's over, when it starts going into winter and having that reset for snow and that legit snow we get here in Tahoe. And yeah, it's a little bit wonky every year. We don't know when we're going to get it, but it usually comes at some point, whether that be December or March. We've had a lot of miracle marches, but just embracing those seasons when they come and being able to know, like, this is snow season. I'm going to do the snow stuff now. And then when spring comes and knowing that you can get out and, plant your flowers and all this stuff. And I just think it's really good to have the change. And for kids too, You know, I think with kids growing up here, kids need a lot of stimulation, and they can't snowboard all year round, and they can't play soccer all year round. So it's cool that as the seasons change, so do the sports in the town and the things to do in the town. So I think that's kind of a beautiful thing that not a lot of communities have around the country.
I agree with you on that. One of the things I do enjoy about living here in Incline and in Tahoe is, you look forward to the next season.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be into summer and you're like, man, all right, getting to the beach. You know, I've gone to the beach 100 times all summer long. Like, can we have some snow? I'm ready to get on the, and then by the end of the winter, you're like, dang, can we just melt all this stuff? Can we get it to go away? I want to go to the beach.
Well, and then you get like local summer too, right? Like when it's like end of summer, but like all the tourists leave and it's a little quieter and the temps aren't as scorching, or like fall hiking is like some of my favorite time of year to go hiking.
Oh yeah, the aspens are changing.
It's the colors are beautiful and the temperature's good, and even when it's cloudy, gloomy days are just so great to hike in because you can kind of go without getting overheated and all this stuff. So yeah, it's just there's so many things to do in the different seasons here. So
speaking of things to do, what are some of your favorite spots or things to do in Incline?
So whenever I come back and visit Incline, I always do a drive to all my old houses I lived in, which is kind of weird, but it's going back to the nostalgia of growing up here.
Is that why they're coming outside now? Like, why is that car driving by again? Weren't they here last week?
Yeah, it's so strange. So my childhood home up in Lower Tyner area, and then the condos that my parents had after they got divorced, and I just like going and seeing kind of the old neighborhoods that I grew up in, and also my friends too. It's funny, I'll go like every time I drive on like Winding Way, I'm like, oh, my brother's friend lived right there, and my sister's friend lived right there, and I remember my friend. It's just I remember all these houses. That's not really an activity, but it's one of the things I like to do when I come to town. Always go to Tees. Yeah, Tees Rotisserie.
Tees Mesquite Rotisserie, for anybody that doesn't know what Tees is.
Yeah, I mean, locals and otherwise, it's so good. It just slaps every time. You can't go wrong getting a Tees burrito or anything for that matter. What's your Tees order? That's
my Tees. Oh man, when I first moved to town, I was a youngin', and it was always the burrito.
Yeah,
but I would start to get really tired.
Yeah, what kind of meat though?
A tri-tip.
Tri-tip.
Okay. Oh, I'm from Texas originally, and so when I first got out here, I kept looking at the menu like, tri-tip. What is tri-tip? I don't even know what tri-tip is. So I'm like, Jamie, what is tri-tip?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's a cut of beef. I'm like, really? I'm like, I grew up on a farm. I think I know what tri-tip is. Don't know what tri-tip is. But it is a cut of beef in a specific area, and it's really good. Tri-tip, now my go-to is a tostada.
Okay, their tostadas are so good.
Tostadas are good, and you actually get quite a bit of veggies because of the lettuce.
That's a good call.
So
it's a little more health conscious. Yeah,
it doesn't make me fall asleep in the afternoon.
If you put one of those burritos down, it'll knock you down.
Oh, you're done. You're done. And then you have to go get a coffee.
Yeah, it didn't happen often, but I remember when I could get a whole burrito, it was just like, okay, I'm so tired now. Yeah. So Tees
great
is
food. Great.
Tees is great. That whole family's great. Like you just mentioned, Jamie. I grew up with Jamie.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in my older brother's class. And
I didn't know. Yeah, he grew up in Incline also.
Yeah,
they've owned Tees for a long time.
Yeah, they have. That whole family, like every single person in that family is a great human being. Yeah. Like, it's wild. They're the greatest humans ever, and they still just run that the same they did when it was open, and prices haven't changed much. And
no, it is one of the more affordable places.
It's so good. Yeah. So always getting a Tees burrito. I always try and get down to the lake if I can.
Yes.
Even if it just means I sit there for 15 minutes and just look at the lake. It's harder in the summer months when I can't get in because I don't have a pass, which going back to being born here, I think Ivgid should grandfather me in. Yeah. I think that's something we should talk about.
Idea.
I always get a little peeved about that.
If you went to every grade in Incline, you should get a lifetime pass.
You should.
That would be cool.
And born here, I have a birth certificate. Like, come on.
That would be cool. Yeah, we need to hop on that.
I know. I get there has to be regulation and everything, but I would like to be able
for it. I would vote for that.
To go to my beach that I grew up on anytime I wanted. But always getting down there. when I do come and stay up here now, I usually kind of split my time between either the Hyatt, depending on their rates, and then Incline Lodge, who we talked about, Andrew Gauthier, who runs that there. And just being able to, enjoy my friends who all still live up here too. I was lucky enough to go out on the lake on my friend's boat the end of summer, which was so fun. And I learned how to wake surf for the first time, which was
it's fun,
challenging, but so much fun. And yeah, anything that involves, seeing the lake, being on even hiking, just being able to look at the lake is always fulfilling for me. The food here has gotten really great over the years since I grew up. I remember Lone Eagle, before it was Lone Eagle, was a place called Hugo's long time ago. Bite up here used to be, there was this pizza place called Flamingo's Pizza.
Okay.
And they used to have this pizza that was their BLT pizza. And if you went to like a sleepover back in middle school and like their mom and dad got BLT pizza for the sleepover, like you were so stoked. Like everybody lost their mind. Basically, it was just like the crust, and then they would drizzle it with mayo, put lettuce, tomato, and bacon on top. Like it's so simple, but it was so good. But a lot of the restaurants here, Austin's was, I think that's changing ownership soon again.
I don't know.
But that was one of my favorite places. Tomatoes was over by
That's where Mofo's is.
Yeah, Mofo's was a staple growing up.
Not Mofo's. Tomatoes was across.
Tomatoes was where Fumo is.
Fumo.
Yeah, Tomatoes had great pizza. Fumo's is great too. Always love if I'm grabbing a cocktail, gotta hit my old bar, the paddle wheel.
Paddle wheel. That's
cheap.
how you know you're true local.
Yeah, that was my bar through college and
that's great.
Softball years. And Rookies, we talked about earlier, RIP Rookies, used to be a fun spot back in the day. That Rookies used to be literally the place to go. You could not walk in there, excuse me, on a Thursday night and like get to the bar to get a drink. It would be packed full.
Yeah.
This was back in, I'd say like 2000, maybe 4 to 2010-ish, I'd say was that era of Rookies, that it was just crazy. But yeah, I like to go back and visit all my old spots that used to be there. Hacienda used to be where Alibi is. Yep. Hacienda used to have the best dollar beers and tacos for happy hour.
Hacienda. Yeah. That was a good one.
That was a good one. But yeah, it's just good to see friends and go get some good food. Yeah, better food now.
For someone looking to buy an Incline, what makes Incline special?
I think if we're looking at it from an analytical point of view, your equity in Incline is always going to be fire, right? So like if you buy
your home equity,
yeah, like if you buy an Incline yesterday, you're going to be sitting pretty in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. We talked about a little bit earlier when I first got here. I think my parents bought my childhood home in '85 for $189,000, and it's worth $1.4 million today. I mean, granted, that's over a long period of time, but
it's 40 years.
Yeah. But still, I mean, what I've noticed, especially since the internet and the pandemic and all these things that have kind of changed just over the years, is that people want this lifestyle, right? Incline Village real estate isn't necessarily selling because of the home itself. It's selling because of the lifestyle. People are buying the lifestyle. People are buying Incline Village. So if you're trying to enter this market, you will always have great home equity if you end up selling later on.
As long as you hold on to it for long enough.
Correct. Yeah. But the other cool thing is, we've seen a lot of turnover with people buying and completely just bulldozing homes and rebuilding in all sorts of neighborhoods up here. But there are still a lot of fixer-uppers here, right? There's a lot of dated homes that are still coming on the market that are still expensive because of just the medium price point. But you have an opportunity to A, make it your own, B, do what a lot of these other people are doing and build something different. There's just a lot of opportunity here to secure what you want and also live the lifestyle. So it's unique, and you're close to Reno, right? So if you're one of those people that you're coming in from a metro area and you're a little nervous about the small town, 30 minutes straight shot to Reno, right?
Yeah.
That's what we did growing up. My parents would go down and do their Costco run and all this stuff. You can get to the city fairly quickly and then enjoy that small town lifestyle that everybody craves. So,
well, Jayce, thank you so much for joining.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Where can people who want to work with you find you?
Great question. So I have my Nevada license here at the Sotheby's office in Incline Village. You can find me online. My Instagram handle is at Tahoe Jayce Real Estate, and Jayce is just Jayce. It's 1 E. My website is TahoeJayceRealEstate.com. And if you're in California, my license is hung at the Truckee office over there at the Rock. So yeah, feel free to contact me.
What's a good phone number for you?
Phone number is 775-530-7272.
Excellent. I'll include all that in the show notes below.
Yeah.
Jayce, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jay. I appreciate it.
Talk soon.
Yeah, thanks.